Hello and welcome to Across the Acres, a Beck's Hybrids podcast, where our goal is to connect, challenge, and inspire each and every one of you by interviewing others whom have a story or message to share. My name is David Ringer, and I'm your host, and I'm joined by my ever-faithful companion man behind the board, Morgan Fitch. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. I called you my friend and my brother at the same time, and it came out like
that works.
Schmother or something. Anyway, you get the point. I like the guy.
Hi.
He's a great dude.
Aw, I like you too.
And he's wearing a Metallica t-shirt today.
Yeah. I
Really?
like Metallica too.
Okay. And the ink is not fresh.
No.
Okay. We're going to do a whole nother episode on Morgan's tattoos at another time because today we have with us, ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Parkin. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you. And I'm glad to have you along. This has been something I've had on my list for a long time, and Heather was stopping this. She's like, he's really busy. And so I'm like, I don't care.
She's great. She's the greatest assistant ever. Yes.
Phenomenal. It's
Yes.
Heather Harpham, for those of you who don't know who Heather is. Most people at Beck's know when we say Heather who Heather is, but in case you don't. And she keeps how many people organized? I don't even want to know. The whole company.
A lot.
Yeah, it's impressive.
She's our company historian.
Yes.
And she's amazing.
Yes. And so since she's told me no like only 4 times. If I keep asking, it's probably going to continue to be a no. Maybe you can just help me out with some things about Heather at another time.
Yes.
Today it's about you. So let's start with, who is Ryan Parkin? Family, hobbies, history, wherever you want to start, wherever you want to go.
Okay. Born and raised a small farm in central Illinois. And usually when I have an opportunity to talk to a lot of farmer prospects that come in, customer prospects that come into Beck's, and I always make a joke because, there's a thought pattern about central Illinois farmers, and that is they farm some of the best dirt in the world, and they can broadcast seed corn and make 300 bushel, right? And of course, that's not the case. No. However, there is really good ground in central Illinois. However, my ancestors walked past the best dirt in the world, and and so they kept migrating a little bit right past the best dirt in the world, and walked through McLean County, Illinois, and decided instead to settle on a sandbar the size of 2 counties, and that was Mason County and Tazewell. And I grew up right on the border between those 2 counties, and as a result. If you know that area, it's all center pivot irrigation because you really couldn't raise a crop without it. Right. But there's a bunch of water under those 2 counties, and so I grew up on irrigated sand, which allowed me then to grow up on a farm that had different types of crops, like seed corn. So I grew up raising seed corn. I've been around seed corn production my entire life. But in addition to that, green beans, peas, sweet corn, on contract with companies like Del Monte and Green Giant, pumpkins with Libby's out of Morton, Illinois for pumpkin pie mix, potatoes with Frito-Lay for Lay's potato chips, popcorn for Weavers. They have a plant in Forest City, Illinois, and then watermelon and cantaloupe. So very diversified farm is what I grew up on. And we would raise number 2 yellow dent corn, typically only when we didn't get a contract for those other crops. Okay. And soybeans is a double crop behind green beans and peas. Mm-hmm. And so I grew up in that kind of farming. And then my father had a fuel business. He started when he was a very young man, like propane, diesel fuels, number 2 oils. And so we had an independent fuel business and we farmed. And so I grew up in both of those businesses. And grew up in a little town called Manitou, Illinois. And, so grew up there, worked in the family business until I went on to college.
Okay. Your college experience was?
Went to Illinois State University in Bloomington, double majored there in ag business and ag science. And then after that, I went on to get my master's degree at the University of Illinois in crop sciences. And I had the opportunity to study under Dr. Fred Bilo. So that was great. It was a great opportunity to do that.
Oh, you learned from one of the best in the business.
Hands down.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I just couldn't believe. He's a genius. He was highly energetic, passionate. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Go Chief, by the way.
Absolutely.
I was a few years behind you, but not too much. No livestock, though, right? It was purely
No, the livestock
crops.
all left when I was a young child, when all the irrigations came in, fence rows, those all went bye-bye. Livestock were in the way of irrigations. So, that really was a barren livestock area. And so I, as a result, 4-H was not a big thing in my area.
Right.
Yeah.
Why would it be? You're not going to take corn to. Some people do, but
Right. That's not
the
sexy.
livestock people. Yeah, they don't. They frown on those
Yes.
folks, unfortunately. So before we get into how you met your wife and the kids and all that, you had told me a story once about an entrepreneurial piece of your past. And would you count yourself as an entrepreneur?
Semi.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of that itch.
Yeah, I definitely have that itch.
And you and Sonny would have that in common, where it grow what you've created.
Yeah.
And Morgan, you're going to get a kick out of this.
Yeah.
Tell them about the sandwiches.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, so this is all right. So imagine I'm a regular poor college kid, and I'm sitting on my deck of my apartment building with a couple of my buddies, drinking natural light, of course. 'Cause
Absolutely.
that's what we could afford. And so sitting there one evening, actually, and we're sitting on our parents' used lawn chairs, that was our lawn furniture, right?
Oh, yeah.
Those old school nylon lawn chairs. And but where my apartment was, I looked out directly at that time, which was the largest dormitory in the United States. It housed more people in one building than any other building in the United States for a dormitory, and that was Watterson Towers in Bloomington, Illinois, or Normal, Illinois. And I think there was at that time 2,200 kids or whatever that were living in there. And as the night went on, I just was observing all of these food delivery vehicles coming in, delivering pizzas or whatever. Most of it was pizzas, but just one after the other. Well, of course, these kids were going out partying all night, and then got the munchies, and
Sure.
they wanted food. And and so I sat there and I'm watching this the whole time, and I'm thinking there might be an opportunity to make some money before they have the chance to dial the phone, because we didn't have cell phones back then.
Right.
But go back up to the room and dial the phone and order food. Maybe I could catch them at the door. And so without saying anything, I just left my buddies. They probably thought I went to the restroom or whatever. And I went into our kitchen and I just started making up a bunch of cold cut sandwiches. That was it. I mean, and I just, as many as I could make, and I threw it in this little cooler thing that we had. And I just grabbed this cooler with these sandwiches and I walked down, and my buddy started yelling at me like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm just going to try something." And I went down there and I stood at this door and I sold cold cut sandwiches to kids coming in with the drunk munchies for like $5.
That's awesome.
And I remember that first night I had something like 25 sandwiches, 30 sandwiches I was able to make. So I made somewhere around $150
That's awesome.
in an hour. Okay. So after I got a taste of that, I'm like, I need to expand. And so I started making a regular thing, because it was busy like that basically every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. And so I just started going to the grocery store and buying all kinds of cold cuts, different meats and whatever. I didn't make them very fancy. But when they came in and I was there, it was an easy sell. And so I started doing that, and I started making hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars, to the point where it was a lot of work.
Well, yeah.
Now I'm like to satisfy the demand. There wasn't enough sandwiches I could make, and so I could do this every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night for hours. And so I decided, I was trying to think through how I could do it easier, and so I built a relationship with the manager of the downtown Normal subway. And I said, "Hey, if I came in here and bought 100 sandwiches every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. Is that something you can plan for? He's like, well, yeah. I mean, if I know that was going to be a regular thing, I'd totally do it. And I said, I just want 6-inch, cold cut sandwiches. And he's like, okay. And I said, how much would you sell those to me for? Do all that. And it ended up being somewhere around like $3.
Sure.
So I said, well, that's what I'd like to do. This next Thursday, I want 100 sandwiches. I'll come in, $3 a piece. So I did. Walked in, bought them, paid him, $300, and went down and turned around and sold all of them for $5. Okay. So now I didn't have any labor.
None.
I mean, other than me showing up and sitting there.
Yeah,
so I didn't have to make the sandwiches anymore. So I did give up some profit, right?
Sure.
Because I make cold cuts a lot cheaper. But now I could just focus on getting there, selling out 100 sandwiches quickly, and walk away with $200 in my cash profit. And I could do this every, three nights like that. And so I, typically could make $600 real fast. In fact, most of the time I could sell those sandwiches in about an hour. If you could time it right,
That's
you could just be
awesome.
there in about an hour and you could sell them all. Because what would happen is some kids would come in and they'd buy the sandwiches for their buddies on the floor.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, so-and-so's, they're going to come back. So sometimes they just, give me a $20 bill and I give them a bunch of sandwiches and they're happy. Everybody's happy. So, and then as I would sit there long enough, what I also found was a lot of pizza delivery drivers would get stood up because these kids would, they've been drinking. So they'd place the order and then they'd pass out, fall asleep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now they're stuck with a pizza.
Right.
And so basically I'm sitting there and I saw a couple of these guys like leaving and I'd be like, hey, I'll take that pizza. And he's like, well, I said, I'll pay you for it. I'll pay you $2. And he's like, well, that's better than eating it. Cause they're going to lose money on it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so I pay him a couple bucks. He gives me the pizza and then I turn around and sell the pizza to the next person that comes in and I would sell it to him for $5, or whatever. And so now I didn't have any labor in preparing my product and I was just present and taking care of a market. And it was great. Police would come through there. They never hassled me. I became friends with them.
Sure.
So they didn't even really, nobody gave me any hassle. So anyway, I did that when I was in college to make money. And yeah, it was a great gig.
That is a great gig, and it also gives people a window into who you are. When I heard you tell that story, I was like, that makes total sense. That's Ryan. Entrepreneurial, yes, but you see a need, you fill the need, and why wouldn't I outsource it? And who cares if I give up a little profit? It makes sense. And then the pizza thing comes along, and sure, let's do that. Now, I didn't check, Ryan, I apologize. I didn't check what the statute of limitations is on some of the crimes you
I was
committed.
just thinking that.
So
I was just thinking
I
that.
hope we didn't compromise you today.
Well,
I think we're good.
there was totally, there was.
No, we don't want to implicate anybody. We're
That's
good.
right. Yeah, there
I
was.
think we're okay.
I think I'm okay. But what was interesting, I did that for about 2 years, and people kind of knew me as the sandwich man or whatever, and so I'd leave. But here's the unfortunate part is I missed the opportunity too, because I graduated from school, and about 7 months later after I graduated, no, it was probably about a year. Sorry. It was about a year. I got a copy of the Panagraph, which is the Bloomington newspaper. Mm-hmm. And I'm flipping through the Panagraph. I'm just curious about what was happening there. I went to school there for 4 years. And I flipped through and I got to this article that said most profitable subway in the United States of America. And I'm looking at it and I start to read the article. And that subway was in the basement of Waterson Towers. Somebody, and I swear somebody saw me or had the idea, and it might have been the same people that I was buying the Subway sandwiches from.
Probably.
But they ended up putting this Subway in the basement of Waterson Towers. And it wasn't that they sold the most sandwiches. It was that they were the most profitable Subway in the United States.
That's
Towers.
really funny.
So yeah, I at the same time I did my thing, but I missed an opportunity still. And so I learned a lot from that and thought a lot about that over the years. Like I should have probably, got my own franchise, thrown it in there.
Yeah.
Man.
Ryan on Rye.
There you go.
Yeah, you could have had your own sandwich.
Yeah, it could have been awesome.
Next
Whole
name
nine
I got
yards.
charged you for. Sorry.
That's
Marketing.
true.
Profit.
Yeah. Trademark that.
Yeah.
Right there.
Anyway.
But no, what about the ladies in your life transitioning to your family?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, been married to my wife, Tiffany. We've been married, 28 years almost now.
Congratulations.
And so, yeah, thank you. And we have 3 daughters. They're 23. My oldest is 23. My middle daughter's 21. My youngest is 19. Just to kind of give everybody an idea of my world. I'm married to a Tiffany. My daughters are Tricity, Tressley, and Trinity, and my 2 chocolate labs are Tilly and Taisley. So you can quickly see who's in charge, and it's not me. But my wife then, to kind of go along with that theme, oftentimes when we kind of start telling this story about our girls, a lot of times people start looking at me and go, "Oh, that poor guy," and my wife will introduce me as trying into the theme.
That's funny.
Yes.
Oh,
and it's pretty appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Hey, when in Rome, be in Rome.
Yeah.
And so we adapt.
Yeah.
It's just what we do.
Yeah. So my oldest daughter, she's a singer songwriter in Nashville, Tennessee. Been down there for 3 years, making a living doing that, getting to do some really cool things. And then my middle daughter, she's a nursing student at Indiana University, and my youngest is in criminal justice major in Dominican University in New York, just outside of New York City, just 30 minutes from downtown.
Wow.
And she plays Division II volleyball there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun.
Is that hard on mom that she's gone that far from home?
So it's interesting how that works. If you would ask me just, I don't know, probably 5 years ago, how do you feel about your daughters, leaving the house someday? And it would actually make me sad thinking about that. Like,
yeah.
Oh no, my baby girls, leaving the house. I don't know. I don't really like that. They can live with us forever.
Sure.
But as they grow older, they have a way of convincing you that you're kind of ready for them to leave, and that'll be just fine.
Yep.
And so, so for me, the realization came very early, like, hey, this thing with your kids leaving the house is pretty great. For my wife, it was still like, these are my babies, and I've raised these babies, and this is going to be tough. Well, it just takes a little bit longer. But she arrives at the same conclusion, I think, in that we love our girls. Don't get us wrong. We like when they visit. But anymore, my wife's come to the conclusion that it's kind of nice not having them around, to have to take care of and to serve and all those things. So we're enjoying our kind of quasi-empty nest right now, and a lot. And but it is a lot of fun when they come back, and they're back now for Christmas break. So
Nice.
Good. Good. Now, can we put in a shameless plug for your oldest down in Nashville? Is there a place people could go to hear her music?
Yeah. So her name's Tricity Jane is what she goes by. That's her middle name, but Tricity Jane is her musician name, and she can be found if you just Google her name on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, all the major streaming platforms.
Okay. Excellent. So check out
Very
Tricity Jane. That's a really cool thing. It's a local celeb, and if you go with our Dealer Business Academy group, you'll get the chance to hear her sing down in her element, and it's super cool. So
yeah, she got
highly
to
recommend.
do some cool things this year. She opened for Joni Messina.
Wow.
1990s, pretty popular music, country music star.
Absolutely.
And then she got to go to tour Norway.
That's cool.
For a couple weeks this summer.
Wow.
And then she's actually met and had a gig with Riley Green, who's very popular right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nice.
yeah.
For sure.
So yeah, she gets to do some cool stuff. Met a lot of different folks in the music industry. It's actually a pretty small industry and kind of like ag.
It is.
And but it's definitely a tough one to break into like ag. So you want to become a farmer today, it's super hard. You're going to have to get really lucky or win the lottery. and being a musician's kind of the same way.
It is.
Yeah.
What separates those that are launched versus those that are never found isn't really that much of a delta.
No.
I mean, they're all wildly talented musicians.
Yeah. It doesn't even really come down to full talent. You have to. They're all good. They all have a lot of talent.
Yeah.
But it's really about how hard they work and who they meet.
Right place, right time.
It's networking.
Yeah.
It's people and relationships.
Speaking of which, what brought you here? Talk a little bit about pre-Beck's. What was your exposure there?
Prior to Beck's, so out of college, when I left college, I started my career in ag retail for Growmark FS, and actually started in precision ag. And so going back in time, that was about 1995. But you have to keep in mind, the GPS signal that we enjoy today in the United States was always scrambled prior to 1994. It was the Defense Department in the United States controlled the GPS satellites. And so in 1994, they descrambled the signal for GPS for civilian use. And what was amazing is that in ag was actually one of the very first industries to utilize global positioning systems in their business. I mean, it really was. If you go back and study it, agriculture was using it before trucking, before mapping companies. It was pretty amazing, and so I had the opportunity to help build the precision farming program for Mason County Service Company at that time, my home county FS location, and of course now it's merged, and I think it's Sunrise Ag today, but at that time they were a pretty progressive board and wanted to. They had an interest in utilizing these global positioning systems, and they hired me to help them get it started. So,
okay. I had no idea. Morgan, did you know that in '94 what happened?
No.
I'm learning something new every day.
Well, yeah. So I think people that are younger, maybe just think, well, GPS has been around for a long time. Well,
sure.
It was, but not for civilian use.
Yeah.
I always found it funny. I mean, another tidbit, when they first descrambled it, they put an error in the signal so that it would only be accurate within 3 meters. Okay, so 9 feet. And I think the idea of the Defense Department at the time was, well, we don't want anybody doing anything nefarious. And I always thought, if I'm gonna make a smart bomb, and I'm gonna use GPS signal, 9 feet's gonna be good enough.
Yeah, right. Right.
And Horseshoes and hand grenades, right?
Yeah. And I think eventually somebody went, oh yeah, this probably is kind of stupid. So they eventually descrambled it completely, and now we can get to sub-inch accuracy, right? So,
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you came to Beck's and first role within Beck's.
Well, so after I was with FS, I actually then went to work for, and there's some seed history here, I went to work for Mycogen Seeds.
That's right. I forgot about that.
As a district sales manager for them in Effingham, Illinois. And but I went to work for them about 2 weeks after Dow AgroSciences had bought the company 100%. And what was interesting about Mycogen at that time is Mycogen had the most BT patents in the world at that time. They had 65 BT patents, more than Monsanto had, more than anybody else, more than Syngenta now, but I think it was Ciba-Geigy at that time. And actually, Mycogen was the first company to actually release and commercialize a BT corn, and it was called Nature Guard. A lot of people, again, think it was Ciba-Geigy, and I think their trade, if I remember right, was like Max Guard or something like that. But Mycogen actually was the first company to release a BT trait. Well, Dow owned a part of that company, and because it was started by an individual out of California, out of his garage, who was a biotech guy, and he started working with all these BT strains, and he eventually needed an outlet for those traits, and so he started buying small seed companies. He bought like Lynx and Jake's and Mycogen and McCurdy and some other brands that you might have heard of in the past, and so it became this conglomeration of about 12 different seed companies. Well, companies like Dow and Pioneer had purchased some ownership in this company because they wanted access to those BT traits someday. Well, Dow finally moved into a position where they wanted to take over the company. And so they started buying shares from other shareholders to the point where they got 49% of the shares. Well, the next biggest shareholder was Pioneer, and Pioneer owned about 10% of the shares. So Dow made a deal with Pioneer to have Pioneer sell them the shares. In return, Dow would give them access to traits that came out of that portfolio of patents. And so Pioneer agreed to sell their 10% share. That gave whatever 59% controlling interest to Dow. Dow then eventually bought out the rest. And that's when I went to work for them 2 weeks after they completed that 100% sale. Well, that is how then, through those patents, that is where Herculex came. The Herculex trait came from, was through those series of patents. At that time, Herculex was the most prolific. It was the best, really above ground and eventually became below ground trait on the marketplace, to be honest. And so Pioneer got access because of that arrangement that they had made with Dow at the time. So it's kind of ironic now that they're the same company, that they've merged together today. But anyway, I went to work for them as a district sales manager in Effingham, Illinois, and worked down there for 4 or 5 years. And through that process, Dow liked that I was able to recruit ag retailers. That company, even back then, wanted to be an ag retail brand. But they were struggling because the whole culture that made up those brands were family-owned, independent farmer dealer type companies. And but I came from ag retail. I kind of knew that lingo, and I partnered up with a guy by the name of Mark Smith. He was up around Charleston, Illinois, and he was the Dow rep in the area. And he was a seasoned Dow rep, and we made a great team. It was got a young pup and old dog, and we got together and we made a great team. And we recruited a lot of people to sell mycogen, and so that's how I actually ended up then in Indiana, because Dow really liked that I was able to recruit ag retail to sell the brand, and so they wanted me to do that in Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio, which is where mycogen had the lowest share of their business, and so then they moved me to Indianapolis. And I was in charge of the retail distribution of the mycogen seed brand in those 3 states, Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. And basically what I did is I went around and convinced ag retailers to sell the mycogen brand. And so went around and signed up those locations for a couple of years. And that's how I discovered Beck's, really. Everywhere I would go, I would hear these ag retailers complaining about this little seed company called Beck's. Like everywhere I would go, they were bitter about Beck's, and they were making up stories and everything else about who Beck's was and how it worked, and not unlike what we hear today in the marketplace, where people who aren't familiar with us or who aren't doing business with us have these different stories that have been told to them or perceptions in their mind because of what somebody said. And I was experiencing that, but that also made me curious. I'm like, man, I'm picking up on a trend here. Everywhere I go, I'm starting to hear, especially in Indiana at the time, I'm hearing a lot about Beck's. And so I remember one day on the way home, I drove by the office, and I was surprised because I expected something that would have been a little more like, at the time, like where you saw a lot of family seed companies in those days, 20-some years ago, would have been, kind of run down facilities, looking like there was a heyday, 30 years prior, and that's run out. But when I drove by Beck's, I was like, man, this is modern. There's an investment being made here. Like this is a real deal seed company, and probably the most impressive family-owned company I had come across in my travels. And so I kind of stored that away, and then I would say about a year later, I got a call from Lee Rulin, and Lee had got my name from somewhere, And he called me and said, "Hey, we'd like to meet with you and visit and explore." I was a little bit hesitant at the time because family-owned companies were selling out right and left.
Oh, yeah.
At that time in the early 2000s. And it was a mass consolidation. Monsanto was making their move, and so was Corteva for that matter. Everybody was buying seed companies. And I thought, well, I don't know if that's really going to be for me. But at the same time, I was not as excited about the corporate world either. There were things there that you were asked to do or prioritize that really weren't in the best interest of your customers, and so I really didn't like that. So eventually, Lee convinced me to meet, and I did, and I met with him and Sonny Beck. I also got to meet Tom Hooper that day. I met with Tim Newcomb, Jim Herr, and they all interviewed me. And one thing that really stood out was these people are passionate and they're smart, and they care about farmers. They care about the customer. And eventually I was meeting with Lee Rulin and Sonny, and Sonny said something that really stuck with me and still has to this day. Sonny said, "Ryan, if you're interested in doing the right thing for farmers in all situations and all times, Beck could be a pretty good place for you." And Lee really talked about how we were going to grow. He said, "This is going to be a company that grows." And I remember I left that, went home. I told my wife, I said, "Hey, I'm going to quit my job at Dow. I'm going to go work for a little seed company you've never heard of."
Oh, boy. Tiffany's like, "Really?
Yeah.
What are you thinking?"
Yeah. She was, she was
where?
just like, yeah, well, I mean, here's the rest of the story. She said, "You had an interview?"
Oh.
So here, that was the other thing is when I went in, I don't think I was really dead set on coming to work for Beck's at that time. I was kind of like more exploratory. I even kind of thought at the worst case scenario, I would gain knowledge about this company that I keep hearing about, and I'll better compete against them.
You bet.
Right? Like it'd be good espionage, so to speak. But no, after I got done meeting with those guys, I went home and I said, "I'm going to quit my job and go work for this little seed company." And she goes, "Well, okay. Well, did you get an offer?" I'm like, "Not yet, but I'm going to."
You know it.
And I said, "I'm going for it now." And so I did. I had another interview, and back in those days, I interviewed us several times, and we still do today. But eventually Lee offered me a role, and I took it, and it was a fabulous decision.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And 20-some years ago, isn't that amazing? How
Yeah.
quickly time has gone.
Oh, big time.
And can you quickly rattle off the roles that got you to today? We haven't even mentioned it yet. Director of Sales.
Yes.
Which is, again, for just a humble Illinois kid from, out of central Illinois.
Yeah.
Growing up on a sandbar, and here you are, the Director of Sales of the fastest growing seed company in the United States.
Yeah.
That's quite the transition, but you started, was it front counter or no?
Yeah, I did. I started what we call our sales consultant role, or our front counter role. Mm-hmm. And I started that with Tim Newcomb. It was just basically Tim Newcomb and I. Okay. And then Tracy Stevenson worked in our delivery department. We kind of had a little separate delivery department. And then he would come help us at the front counter when we were busy. And so when I first started, though, it was just Tim and I. And I had to learn by fire. Sure. I came in at a very busy time when we were selling and shipping wheat. And back in those days, we actually sold about as much wheat as we do today. So it was a lot of wheat.
Wow.
And we were moving it. And I had been in the field. I mean, my office was out of my home in my truck, for all the years prior.
Sure. This is quite a transition.
Yeah, I've never worked in an office before. I don't know how copy machines work. I didn't know how the computer systems work. I didn't know how the phone systems work. I mean, phone systems are confusing, and I'm still,
yes.
Yeah,
right.
So true.
Yeah. I still don't understand all of it.
I know.
And
there's buttons.
Yeah, and the copy machine. I remember Heather's mom, Rita. She was always like, here, what are you trying to do? And she'd grab it from me and she goes, here, I'll just do it. And so I learned, okay, be nice to Rita and she'll do stuff for you. Right. And she'd cook really great meals and everything back then. But anyway, yeah, so it was a transition for me just to get acclimated to the office. But that role, I loved it. I got to know all the dealers at Beck's. I knew all the employees at Beck's through that role. I knew the inner workings of the company. I knew how shipping and delivery and processing and production. I knew how all those things worked from that role, and yet I was still connected to the customer. Back then, again, internet wasn't as strong. Cell phones were growing, but 21 years ago, farmers were still calling in on landline connections, and they were still coming in to visit to learn more, to get educated about our products and things. So it was cool. I got to meet had a lot of customer interactions, and just learned everything I could. And that role then really set me up nicely to have the next roles that I had. And so a short period of time after maybe a year or so of me being here, Scott Beck had come to me because I had worked on a project at Dow AgroSciences for the launch of Herculex. So I had a little bit of marketing background, and he said, hey, I'd like for you to lead our advertising committee. And I said, oh, we have a committee? He's like, no.
We do now.
We do now. and if you would lead it, that would be great. And so that original committee was Leslie Amos, who handles a lot of our inventory today, and Bruce Vester, who's no longer with us. He's since retired, and David Frederick, who was our graphic designer at that time. And so Scott said, hey, I'd like for you to lead this committee. And prior to that, Scott had done the advertising side of things. And I said, okay. And one of the things that really stuck out to me, and it's been a Beck's thing ever since, is I said, what's my budget? Every other job I'd ever had, it was like, here's your budget, right?
Yeah.
And Scott said, we don't really do budgets. And I'm like, well, how do I know how to operate? He goes, well, if you have good ideas and we like it, we'll probably do it. I'm like, okay, then I'm going to bring you a whole bunch of good ideas. And so we did as a committee, we started bringing some ideas and thoughts. And so we started doing more marketing. And as we did, one of the first products that we had that we marketed was a product called 5444. And we put a lot of attention towards it. And in the first year of sales, before anybody had ever seen the product, prior to that, it had only been seen in plots. And so in the first year of promoting it and selling it, it became the largest volume product that we had ever sold. And so, the family, I think, liked the results and said, hey, keep doing some of that marketing stuff that you guys are doing. And so we did. And so we then set out to, we quickly realized this thing's going to grow. The company was growing, sales were growing. And so we decided at that time that we were just going to do it in-house. We were going to be an in-house agency. Why? Because I had explored other ad agencies, which most of our competitors at that time were already using ad agencies. And any company our size today is using an ad agency out of Chicago or St. Louis or New York. And so I had explored those things. But what I quickly found is I was having to spend a lot of time trying to educate them on even what we did. And they didn't have the expertise. They would spend your money to go learn about that expertise. Mm-hmm. And it was like, well, wait a minute. We've already got people here that know our business and we know farmers. I think we could just do it ourselves. And so that's what we did. And so we continued to build capabilities and hire people. And so the department's really grown today to an amazing group of people and talented people that do great work on behalf of agriculture and our company. And I'm really proud of of all those things those folks have accomplished over the years, and I just had a small part in helping lead it.
Well, and you passed the baton to Ashley Fisher several years ago to let her, so you could focus more on sales. But, I mean, are we talking 100 employees in the marketing department, close to that?
Like 27.
Are you kidding? That's it?
Yeah.
It feels like there's hundreds of them, and there's a trophy case full of awards that you guys win year after year after year, starting back when you were running it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the awards are from ad type committees. I don't even know who awards people these awards, but they're beautiful.
Yeah, the National Agricultural Marketing Association,
there we
it's
go.
called NAMA or NAMA.
Thank you.
Is one association that a lot of agencies are a part of, and so at Beck's we've won Best in Show many a time, countless other awards. In fact, to this day we don't really even compete in it anymore. Just we feel like we don't need to.
Yeah, you've checked that box, and we'll let somebody else.
Yeah, but outside of that, we've won awards from other advertising associations throughout the country. Many that aren't even in agriculture, and so our marketing department at Beck's is a highly recognized and awarded a group of people, incredibly talented folks.
Yep.
And their one client is Beck's.
Isn't that amazing?
So it's a major advantage, we think.
Yeah, absolutely is. So when I started 10 years ago or so, the Why I Farm was still in the infancy.
Yeah.
And how cool that was to see that explode. And we've gone way beyond that. But still, if you want to look that campaign up, that was special. Yeah,
that was interesting how that came about.
Tell me more.
Yeah. So I was the leader of the team at the time. And I used to like to meet with our dealer advisory council. So we have a dealer council that we extract ideas and feedback from annually here at Beck's and throughout the year. And I also had a seed advisor council that I'd put together. And I was asking them about the feedback from the prior year campaign. And that was called Suspect to Success. Now, in the advertising world, it won tons of awards. Like it swept. We swept awards right and left with that campaign. But in my mind and in some other minds of the folks in the marketing department were like, it just seems to be falling short with farmers. Like it's maybe interesting and intriguing, but I don't know if it's communicating enough to them and about who we really were. And so I had deep, deep doubts. And so I was asking for feedback from the sales team about it. Going into it already critical in my own mind. And so we started asking them in this conference call that we had. And they were giving feedback, and it was varied. Some were like, "Oh, I think it's great," and some others were like, "I don't know, don't think it hits a mark." And that's typical. Anytime you do something in marketing,
you
got there's all kinds of opinions.
Oh yeah,
and there's lots of them to go around. But you start looking for trends, right? And actually, he's our rep at Corteva now, Brandon Groth.
You bet.
He was a seed advisor for us at that time. And I'll never forget, Brandon said, if you just have a message about who we are to the farmer and paint the picture accurately of who we are, we'll take care of the rest as a sales force. And he was saying it in a nice way, well, this suspect to success thing really isn't communicating who Beck's is. And so I left that meeting. I think I went upstairs that same afternoon. I got the marketing team together, and they were working hard on the second round of the Suspect to Success campaign. Hard. Like we were really far actually down the path, because we're talking now it was probably early March, late February time. Like wasn't a lot of time left.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it was an oh boy. And I said, yeah, we're going to scrap it. We're going to come up with something new, and we need to have the answer tomorrow morning. And they looked at me and they go, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "It's a heart attack.
Absolutely.
We're killing this thing.
Yeah.
We're going a different direction." And they
Let's
go,
do it.
"So what's that?" And I said, "I don't know exactly, but whatever we do, I want it to honor farmers. I want it because that will communicate who Beck's actually is. We want to honor the farmer." I said, "That's all I know. How are we going to do that?" And the next morning, Sean Smith came in. He's our creative director at Beck's.
Sean.
Who was most mad at me, okay?
Oh, I bet.
He was mad.
Yes.
And he did not like this. And but he came in and he pitched this idea. And I don't remember if we nailed the idea down right away as Why I Farm or the title, but he brought the concept. And he said, "I think this might be a way to honor farmers." And it was a video campaign to actually tell the farmer story from their own mouth. And I was like, now we're talking. And it got refined from there. But that team did something magical.
They really did.
It's a campaign that when people still run across it today are blown away. But it really helped us with our brand awareness across our entire marketing area. People outside of our marketing area, because we weren't in Iowa at the time, but when we did go into Iowa, people were all referencing Why I Farm. So people already kind of knew who we were before we were there. And it was wildly successful in that regard.
Yep, absolutely.
It was a magical thing.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Brandon, because when I took part of that team, it was one of the first things he told me. He's like, "That suspect of success thing was a joke. We're moving on. We're moving forward. This Why I Farm thing is genius." Right. He loved it.
Yeah.
He was just all in, and he wouldn't have said genius. Sorry, Brandon. I know you listen to this, but
Right.
Whatever he said that day, that was what he was trying to communicate. It was just the essence of Beck's, farming, and America.
Yeah.
It got all three buckets.
Yeah. He was just like, "Just tell them who we are. We'll do the rest." I remember that him saying, "We'll do the rest."
Yeah.
Really resonated. So, yeah, he was a big spark in that.
Yeah. Good job, Brandon. Good job, Sean.
Yeah.
Who I still can't get Sean on the podcast.
Well,
But
I'll work
on it for me, would you? So now, director of sales, is there a way to capture what you do? Like, what's a Tuesday? Your job is so varied. It's so broad in some ways, and yet it might even be considered narrow in some ways too, because it is the sales part of the business.
Yeah.
But tell me more on that.
So it may not be what most people think. My mind about leadership is really about creating a vision for people so they can see where it is you want to go as an organization. And, the picture that we painted is I want us to be a differentiated sales force that helps farmers succeed. And we're going to have to do that through the recruitment of new relationships, right? So you set a vision, you paint that picture for folks, but then after you do that, you set some level of expectation, but then you empower, you equip, you support, you break down barriers, and you celebrate. And that's how I've chosen to lead. So if you really kind of now sum all that up, it's about being of service. And being of service sometimes means taking the hard calls from a customer, taking the hard calls from a dealer, taking a hard call from another employee, and helping people through that conflict and that resolution. It also oftentimes is about helping people see opportunity where maybe they're struggling in their role or as a dealer, and inviting them to be a part of what it is we're trying to accomplish, and then letting them make a choice of whether they want to do that or not.
Perfect.
So I think I spend a fair amount of time in those types of situations, and then I'm heavily involved in recruitment. The lifeblood of our company is new relationships, and it should be for any company. Mm-hmm. But most companies try to complicate it, but it's not that complicated. It's hard to do.
Very.
But it's not a complicated concept. And that concept is if we recruit great people, those great people tend to recruit other great people, and those great people tend to recruit and attract farmer customers. And when you have a bunch of great people all working together, the farmer succeeds, we succeed, and generations potentially succeed. And so it's really important that we do recruit great people. And so that is my highest priority, and probably where I spend, most of my time today outside of the things that happen within an organization when you have over 1,000 dealers and 250 plus seed advisors. It's people. So you're going to have good things and bad things that come out of that sometimes, and somebody kind of has to ultimately referee it.
Absolutely. And Morgan, in case you're wondering, he's really good at recruiting people.
Yeah.
I've had the pleasure of watching from the sidelines, so to speak, and I'll never forget, we were working on a really big dealer up in a certain part of Illinois, and you and I were just, what do we do? How do we strategize to get this guy? And I think you'd only been in the director of sales role for maybe 6 months at the time, and he came up with a brilliant plan. We executed it. He said no, and that's okay. Ultimately, he wasn't the right fit for our team, and that's okay.
No.
And he's still doing well, and we're still doing well, and that's a win-win.
Yeah.
So keep up the great work, because you are really good at recruiting people.
Thank you.
It's a gift, and you use it really well. Well, you're a really busy guy, and we're up against the time, but I do have one last question, and it revolves around your 3 lovely daughters who are very talented. Do you have like a script or a funnel, a filter for potential son-in-laws that you're going to force these men to meet certain qualifications?
Well, I'm not going to be able to force anybody to do anything. So
Good answer.
I've learned that. Okay.
Good answer.
I think it comes down to the investment we've made in our daughters that will determine that. My wife and I are there to coach and guide as your kids transfer to becoming adults. Your role really changes. You don't really have control anymore. You become a guide and a coach. Long time ago, I got some great advice. It came through a Bible study here, or a book study really here, a book/Bible study here at Beck's. Within the first few months of me coming to Beck's. And the book that we studied was written, was called Wild at Heart by John Eldredge, a Christian author. And that book is really about the relationship between a father and son, and how, unfortunately, damaging fathers can sometimes be to their sons, and how their sons kind of bear that, right? So that's not really what I took out of the whole thing, because there was a small part in that book where John Eldredge talked about fathers and daughters. And it was really small, but it was very simple. And it was that God made man first. He made Adam. And then he recognized very quickly, man is not good on his own, that he needed a suitable partner. And so he created Eve, and he made Eve from man. And so when you get to the root of, how were made by God, that women want to be in relationship with man. They were designed to be in relationship with man. Now, man was not meant to rule over. He needed a suitable partner. And that he's not good on his own. And so he needs woman. And woman wants to be, because God instilled that. He made her for him. And so as a result, what the book studied on, and I'm thankful to this day, because my kids, not all of them were even born. The third one wasn't even born yet. The other 2 were really young. And is that as a father, you are that male relationship in your daughter's lives from the very beginning. And if you don't foster a good, healthy relationship with them through recognizing them, supporting them, loving them, sharing how beautiful they are in your eyes, they will replace you with another male relationship. And you can kind of see that if you think back in your life or in your school years, how where something was bad at home, people find a new relationship to replace it.
Yep.
And so that could really be boys or girls for that matter. But and so that really stuck with me. I'm like, man, I have a responsibility here. If I don't do this well, they're going to make really bad choices in who they may pick as their partners someday. And so I really made a conscious effort after that, especially to try to be a loving, recognizing, as patient as possible father to girls. And then my wife and I constantly talk to them about, you get two big decisions in life to make that can have a huge, major impact on your entire life. There's really only two. I mean, you can have all kinds of careers. You can choose one career and it doesn't work out, go choose another. You can go to one school and that doesn't work out, go to another school. You can choose one major. Those aren't the big ones. The big one was, one, choose Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. And the second one is choose your partner well.
Amen.
And if you do both of those things in life, it's not necessarily going to be easy.
No.
But you will find peace. You have a much greater chance of finding peace, love, and joy if you do those two. If you don't do those two, I can assure you life is going to be much tougher with a lot less peace and joy and happiness. And so we really tried to instill that. And so now it's about prayer, and I hope they, in fact, decide to choose well.
Amen. Yep, and they will. You've set them up for that, and they'll make the right choice and be successful because they've been successful at this point, and a good prediction of future behavior is what they've done in the past, most typically.
So far, so good. My oldest is engaged to get married. She gets married in July at 26. Yeah. And my wife and I really, really love him.
He's a good guy. He's a keeper.
I would. Okay, if you want to get down to like, if I determine whether they're good or a keeper or not, I always go to, would I hire them at Beck's? Would I hire them as a seat advisor at Beck's? And if the answer is yes, I would hire them as a seat advisor at Beck's, they get the thumbs up from me.
Okay.
So they kind of get interviewed like they're getting a job at Beck's, to be honest with you.
I can see it now.
Yes, it's probably like an interview. But yeah, if I come to that conclusion, it's a thumbs up. Like, I'm good. We're good to go.
Let's do it.
Because the same things, we're looking to hire seat advisors. We're looking for good culture fits here at Beck's that care about people, that want to work hard, that want to accomplish more in life than what they have today, whether that means, getting stronger in their faith, whether that means being a better husband or father, whether that means, accomplishing a dream of buying a farm, whatever it might be. There's some desire. And so I'm looking for those people that are hardworking, that have a desire, that are good culture fits. And if they have that, those people are good.
Yeah.
They're golden.
We'll be fine.
Yep.
So, wow, that's very good. Thank you for that. I appreciate those words of wisdom. We aren't going to let you out of here, though, without the fun Fast Five.
All right.
And so we've got 5 quick little either-ors, and you can't ride the fence. That's the only rule here.
All right.
We did let Sonny do that once, and I've regretted it ever since. But I'll get over it.
Yeah.
So if you're ready.
All right.
Get in early or stay late?
Early.
Strict deadlines or open timelines?
Open timelines.
More money or more time? That's a tough one. Yeah.
Probably more time.
Okay. Good choice. Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Okay. Last but not least, comedy or motivation?
Oh, comedy.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you got me on that one. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Well, so I hate reading motivational books.
Oh, yeah.
And motivational speakers are not my thing.
No.
And part of the reason is, for whatever reason, God instilled motivation within me.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like I lack it.
No.
It's not foreign to me.
Yeah.
I'm restless in that regard. And so for me, I may not be the person who makes all the jokes, but I sure enjoy a good comedy and good comedians.
Okay.
I like to, it makes me laugh. It makes me just, chill out for a bit.
It's the best medicine,
Yeah.
as they say.
That's what they say.
Well, thank you, sir. It's been an honor and privilege to have you on Across the Acres today. Morgan, did I miss anything?
Nope,
Okay,
you're good.
I'm good. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today, where our goal was to connect, challenge, and inspire. Please give us a 5-star rating and review on a podcast provider, I can't talk, of your choice. And until next time, we will catch you across the acres.